Hey everybody, this is Rob. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are having a fantastic day. And today, I am managing to stay on trend with the rest of the internet and YouTube, and I am finding a way to squeeze the Nintendo Switch 2 as a topic into another conversation. But I am kind of approaching it from a different lens, I think, today, because what I wanted to do was make more of a comparison to the general discussion and theories and speculation happening right now around the Nintendo Switch 2 and compare that with way back in the day when we were all theorizing and speculating about the Nintendo NX. I'm sure that most of us are old enough to remember that really not all that long ago, the big hot topic in the Nintendo and gaming community was the Nintendo NX, which at the time was revealed to be Nintendo's then next generation mysterious console that was going to be the successor to the Wii U. And the way gaming YouTube and Nintendo YouTube operated at that time during the Wii U generation, where sadly the Wii U was not a big success, even though I personally love and defend it to this day, it created that kind of, 2015, 2016 version of a rumor mill surrounding that piece of information. And as somebody who was a YouTuber at that time, covering Nintendo, covering video games, and yes, discussing the Nintendo NX, I've mentioned this before, I have very fond memories of being a smaller early on YouTuber at that time, having fun theorizing with a lot of my friends and other people who I got to know on YouTube at that time about the Nintendo NX and what it could mean and what it could be and all of these fun things. And so, like I mentioned in the intro, I am going to be comparing that rumor mill around the Nintendo NX to what we have happening with the Nintendo Switch 2 right now. And on its surface, you might think they're very much the same, but in reality, they're very different for one key reason, which I will be discussing. By the way, while you're here, I do want to let you know that I am currently trying very hard to cross 25,000 subscribers, which I hope to do sometime in the coming months. If you're new to the channel and this is your first video, I would hope you consider subscribing, or if you've been watching for a while and never have subscribed, then I hope that this video convinces you to finally do so. So, Nintendo Switch 2 versus Nintendo NX. Like I said, on the surface, two similar situations maybe, because it's different periods of time where we, the fans, and even those of us with YouTube channels are theorizing and speculating and guessing about what these mysterious new devices from Nintendo will be at their respective times. But I did reference one key difference and why I thought this would be a worthy and fun comparison to make. And the difference is when we were discussing the Nintendo NX, well, the Nintendo NX came directly from Nintendo and Satoru Iwata's mouth. They told us the Nintendo NX was the official codename for their official next-gen console. Whereas with the Switch 2, we don't know anything about the Switch 2. We've all been guessing and theorizing and essentially making that up in our brains for a long time now, myself included. Prepare yourselves to have your mind blown for a minute because we are sitting here in the first half of January of 2024. We just hit the brand new year. It's 2024. Do you want to know when Nintendo and Iwata first told the world that the Nintendo NX was a thing? It was March 2015, which is almost 9 years ago. Think about that. If you round very generously, it basically means it's almost a decade ago. You add one more year, it's been 10 years since we first heard about the Nintendo NX, which we know 2 years after that announcement would become the Nintendo Switch, which released in March of 2017. And I don't know about you guys, but to me, it boggles the mind to think that we first heard and were talking about the Nintendo NX 9 years ago. Now, naturally, one of the key points to the reveal and confirmation about the Nintendo NX, like I said, is the fact that it was a real thing. That's not the case with the Switch 2, and I'll be getting into that, but it is something that, like I mentioned and just showed and said, Nintendo and Iwata were willing to tell the world, we're already working on the next thing. And March 2015, that's only like, 2.5 years after Nintendo released the Wii U. So we were only 2.5 years or so into the life of the Wii U. And as we all know, and as I mentioned at the beginning, God, I love the Wii U. I still play it to this day. I have been playing it literally this week even. I still have it hooked up on my main TV in my living room, right next to my Switch and my PS5 and my Series X. I've got my Wii U, and I do play the thing. But it wasn't successful. It wasn't a commercial or a sales success. Breaks my heart. But that's the case. And because of that, I think the reason we got the confirmation from Iwata about the Nintendo NX so soon is simply because I think Nintendo needed to tell the world and tell us, the fan, that, hey, we know you don't like the Wii U. We know it's not selling well. We want to give you the promise of the future. We want to let you know, without officially throwing the Wii U under the bus, we want to let you know we're already thinking ahead. We know the Wii U's out there, but we're working on the next thing, so you can have confidence that we, Nintendo, will be bringing you something more exciting in the near future. And so naturally, there's a discussion to be had about how their confirmation of the Nintendo NX at that time might have even further aided to the death of the Wii U. I mean, the thing was already not doing great out of the gate, and even though the library was fantastic throughout the life of the Wii U, the sales were not. And so, yes, it was already struggling for sales by March 2015 when they told us about the NX, but I do think you could make a case that in a different timeline where maybe they didn't confirm the NX, maybe that could have still given a little bit more life and longevity to the Wii U. Maybe not a whole lot, but potentially it might have reached a higher level of sales. Instead of the 14 million it ended at, maybe it would have reached like 17 in its lifetime. I don't know. Something that could have padded the numbers in a positive way. But that's a different timeline than the one we live in. And the timeline we live in, Nintendo waited 2.5 years. They saw the writing on the wall with the Wii U. They wanted to tell us, hey, we're working on something better, so be excited for Nintendo in a couple of years, essentially is what they told us. And yeah, that maybe aided in the further decline and the lack of interest in the Wii U, but regardless, Nintendo was willing to give us some kind of nugget to chew on. We were like, Nintendo NX? What is that? What is that going to be? What does that mean? And thus the rumor mill started. And like I said at the beginning, the rumor mill was a lot of fun at that time. We had something specific and official from Nintendo that we could work on, and so we got to talk about, is this going to be a better version of dual screen gameplay? Are they going to be making a better gamepad? Is it going to be way more powerful than the PS4 and the Xbox One, which were the competing consoles at the time? Are they going to do something even crazier? I mean, all these theories, and I was on a podcast with a bunch of buddies at the time, having so much fun talking about this. I was making tons of videos theorizing about the NX. We started to see people making those kind of CG mock-ups, guessing on what it could be. It's going to have 3 screens instead of 2. It's going to have controllers that pull apart. It's going to become a microwave at the same time as being a video game console. Whatever the heck. I mean, we didn't know because all we had was like the Wii U to go on. And if you think about it, when you're speculating on what a new console can be, especially when the company confirms that it's coming, you look at what you have currently and you imagine building upon that. So with the Wii U, we had a dual screen touchpad gamepad experience. We also had it compatible with Wii remotes and nunchucks and the sensor bar and all that, so we can't forget that element. And that played Wii discs, and so, you know, we didn't think ahead about necessarily it being cartridge based at the time, and we were thinking about motion control gimmicks and different touchpad gimmicks and all these different things. And for a couple of years, it was rumors, it was Reddit boards, it was people claiming things, it was people making mock-ups of NX controllers based on patents, very famous things that still live on to this day. It was a really fun time, and it was great to theorize about what was going to happen with the Nintendo NX. Now, if we switch gears over to the Nintendo Switch 2 and the situation we're currently in, obviously, the big difference, the key difference, is the fact that, like I said with the Nintendo NX, that was something Nintendo confirmed and gave us a code name of a real device we could think about and talk about. The Switch 2, look, I'm with the whole world. I believe it's coming. It's probably going to be a Switch 2. Maybe it's called the Switch 2. It's probably going to be just a more improved version of the current hybrid Switch that we have, but it is not an actual official thing. Nintendo hasn't said squat about it. We have nothing official to go on. And look, I'm throwing myself into this conversation. I've mentioned many times, and if you've been following me for a while, you know, I was already speculating about a next-gen device back in 2020. Only fan theories. I was never pretending to leak things. I was never pretending to start rumors. I was just a fan of Nintendo and the Switch and video games with a YouTube channel saying, hey, I think in 2022 or 2023, that might be an interesting time to see Nintendo move on to their next generation console. And so for a couple of years on videos and live streams, I would discuss that, only as a theory. Nowadays, in 2023 and here in early 2024, the whole conversation around Nintendo almost entirely has shifted to Switch 2, daily news, daily updates, things that are pretending to be leaks and rumors, and everyone's reporting on them. And again, I will admit, every once in a while, there's something juicy enough for me to also discuss. I'm not trying to say that I don't also talk about and theorize about the Switch 2, because I do. It's a fascinating concept. I think it will happen this year in 2024. I'm excited for the next generation console from Nintendo. But like I said, we don't have anything real to go on. Nintendo hasn't said anything about it yet. And so I think part of what I'm trying to get at here, and maybe the thesis of this video and the question that I'm trying to posit to the world and to you guys watching, is, does it invalidate the conversation around the Switch 2 because Nintendo hasn't confirmed it, compared to when the Nintendo NX conversation was happening, right? Is it more valid to have talked about the NX back in 2015 and 2016 because Nintendo confirmed it, compared to all of us just theorizing about the Switch 2 and people going to Eurogamer and Reddit boards and all these other places and Twitter pretending to leak things about the Switch 2, and maybe some of it's true, maybe it's not, we don't know, but it's all based on hearsay and it's not based on anything from Nintendo. So does the general online and YouTube conversation become invalidated about the Switch 2? And overall, just my opinion, I think I would say no, it doesn't invalidate the conversation, because it's okay to just speculate. And most people are just speculating. Not everyone. I do think that there are folks online who are a little bit more irresponsible with how they talk about Switch 2 stuff. But by and large, I think it is okay to speculate. And I've said it a few times, I'll say it again. I think it's going to happen this year. And so for that reason alone, it's like, yeah, why not, as fans, just talk about and theorize about the Switch 2? But while I don't think it invalidates the general conversation, I do just think it's important that we realize that most of us, myself and other people online included, are not really going on anything official from Nintendo. It was a lot more fun, in my opinion, to be covering Nintendo on YouTube, talking about the NX, because Iwata said it was a real thing, compared to today when I talk about the Switch 2 and it's just because I'm guessing. It was more fun when the NX was real, less fun talking about Switch 2 because it's not officially real yet. And now, of course, as we know, I think it was around 2 or so years ago at an investors meeting, Nintendo did share this graphic giving a very, very surface level, vague kind of roadmap of some of what they were planning. And at the very end of that roadmap was, I'm forgetting the verbiage, I'm going to have a screenshot here for you to look at, but it was saying something about next generation hardware or something, and I think it has the year 20XX, right? Like it's a 1988 NES game where a video game takes place in 20XX. But it did say that, so the closest to anything official from Nintendo was this statement and this graphic where they talk about, and they show on this graphic, next generation hardware 20XX. And so to be fair to the conversation that we have nowadays around the next Nintendo console, that is a thing that happened. And it is cool. I don't think it's the same kind of confirmed nugget that the Nintendo NX was. That was a whole different beast. But it was something, and it's enough to know that, of course, Nintendo, just like every company, they're always thinking ahead by several years. They're always working on the next big thing, the next big game in their franchise, the next piece of hardware or technology that they're going to release in the future. They're always thinking ahead, and so they gave us that nugget a few years ago. But ultimately, we still don't have anything real. And so I think that it's just, I don't want to call it a cautionary tale. That sounds way too melodramatic. I just think it's good for us to remember, first of all, to just remember the glory days of the NX and how fun that was and how exciting it was when we saw it revealed as the Switch in October 2016. That was a great, 18 months from March 2015 to October 2016. Thinking about the NX and getting rumors and stuff and seeing those mock-ups. I think it's just important to remember when we see the Switch 2 conversation now that it's fun to theorize and speculate, and I love talking about it, and I'll continue to talk about it when I choose to on my channel. But just know that there really isn't anything concrete yet, Most people are just having fun as fans speculating. Like I said, some people, in my opinion, being a little bit less irresponsible and trying to peddle things as leaks and rumors that maybe aren't really. Eventually, we'll start to get more concrete stuff. And even beyond that, in my opinion, I think before spring or summer, we're going to probably see Nintendo confirm the thing. For all we know what happens next month. I mean, we're in an exciting period. I think we're going to see the Switch 2, whatever it is, in the next couple of months. But right now, that's not the case yet. The Nintendo NX era was the glory days, man. We had something real. Right now, we don't have anything real. So I just wanted to have this conversation, make this comparison, and kind of hear you guys talk about it as well. And if you fondly remember the NX period and how you look at that time compared to the Switch 2 conversation happening nowadays. So these are my thoughts. These are my theories. Again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next time on another video. Bye-bye.